So we'll get into our games of the weeks now. One probably the main. Sake.
How's Donny? It's coming back up.
Games of the weeks.
Go again, man.
Welcome to the BSR Sports Podcast. In case you don't know, you've got an excellent opportunity to join a free giveaway to get any shot you want. If you want to join, click the link below in the description. For the first 250 subscribers, we're going to be giving you away a free shot just in time for Christmas. What an opportunity that you can't miss out on. Until then, enjoy the video. Thank you.
Hello there, and welcome to the BSR Sports Podcast from the fans for the fans. Today, I'm joined by our usual guests, Paddy, Leonard, and Luke McFarlane. How we doing, boys?
Good, pleasure to be here.
All right, and I feel like we should just get straight into it today. I'm the host today, so we're going to start with the Liverpool game. And you get a chance to watch the game?
Got to see the highlights there.
Mate, I did watch the game, obviously, and we didn't play great. We haven't been playing great recently. Spurs probably deserved a draw, maybe deserved the win. But Liverpool come up clutch again in the last minute with a Bobby Firmino header, and it's great again. We're now 3 points clear at the top of the league with the amount of injuries we've had. It's unbelievable, and we can only build on from here and hopefully ask for greater and bigger things at Liverpool. We'll touch quickly on Spurs as well. What are we thinking, boys? Do you think they'll be around at the end of the season for a title fight?
Yeah, maybe. I think I'm actually a bit happy to see Spurs. Everyone seems to give Spurs a hard time, but as a Man United fan, I do quite like Mourinho, and I'm kind of happy to see, we've been hearing in recent years, because he's been having a hard time. He's finished, he's this, he's that. It's nice to see him doing well again, having some good results with Spurs. So I think if they keep it up, there's no reason they can't be right up there until the end of the season. Some of the players they've got, Kane, Son, Lloris, unbelievable players. So yeah, I think they'll push Liverpool until the end of the season. I think for sure.
Yep. What do you think, Paddy?
I think it'll certainly be between Liverpool and Tottenham for the title this season. I think Chelsea have looked good, and Man City look good here and there, but I think Tottenham and Liverpool are the most consistent. And I saw the highlights from the game tonight, and it looked quite a close one. Obviously, the first and second, so that's what you would think of the game. It looked like Spurs had a lot of chances, and they hit the post, didn't they? Steven Bergwijn hit the post, I think. And Liverpool have obviously got a wee bit fortunate with a wee last-minute header. It was a bullet header.
The Harry Kane header.
Oh, Harry Kane must have built it.
Yeah, Harry Kane should have scored, definitely. Corner came in, he was 5 yards out or something, just hit it over. Sure.
Absolutely. Liverpool got let off the hook there. Personally, I never thought Spurs would be in the position they are now, but it's clear to see that Mourinho keeps downplaying it. He clearly wants Spurs to get back into the top four. That'll be their main aim, but I think Spurs' main aim should be to win a trophy this season. And I feel like this is their best chance to win it. They're in two cup competitions, and they're in the Europa League. So I can't see why they couldn't go on and win at least one of them. Mourinho is a serial winner.
Yeah.
You can only get better for Spurs, and you've got potential player of the year, 2 player of the year candidates in your team, in Kane and Son. And when you've got those 2 in your team, you're capable of anything, really.
Mm-hmm.
And Liverpool's sake, if Liverpool keep playing like the way they are, and they'll just keep winning games, and we'll just keep getting those late wins, those spawny wins, as you call them, we'll get number 20 and equal Man U's record, but that's a long way away. And I hope for Luke's sake that doesn't happen, but for my sake, I hope it happens very soon. So great result for Liverpool, and Bobby Firmino scoring a late winner. Paddy, a little bit of joy for you. Celtic game, a league game.
I know, brilliant, mate. It's just what we needed, isn't it? All we need to do, we just need to keep winning in the league, and we're coming off of 2 wins, so it's looking good. if we just keep winning, we can just hope that, like you saw Rangers tonight, losing against St Mirren. Obviously, that's in the League Cup, so it's not. I was wishing it would have been in the league. We want them to lose, but fair enough. It means that they can't get that trophy this season. But all we can hope for is that when we play Rangers again, we can beat them and we can keep winning. Because Neil Lennon's got all this pressure on him, and I think if we do lose one more league game, then it'll be costly for his job.
Definitely. How did Celtic play on the day with good few players coming in? Correct me if
We
I'm
looked pretty good. Like you saw, Shane Duffy came back into the team. He looked pretty good. He got his goal, and he was really emotional after the game, and he felt like a lot had been put on him. Like fair enough, he's a lot of mistakes he's made, and fans wanting him out the club. But he had a great game, and you saw the likes of like Greg Taylor coming in having a good game. I think we just need to have all our players firing. Like you've had the likes of your usual performers, maybe like Callum McGregor, Ryan Christie, Edward. Like we've not really had our best players having their best season, so we just need everyone to kick on and just keep on trying to win.
Speaking on the French players again, you had the likes of Soro, who seems to be loved a lot by the Celtic fans at the moment. Tell us a bit about him.
Yeah, he's came into the team. He get put into that team when we played the Leo in the Europa League. David Turnbull as well. They two look like they could cause Neil Lennon a sort of like selection headache because they two played brilliant. Soro played. He had a better game in the Europa League, but obviously the game against Kilmarnock it was a different type of game, different style of play, where we had all the possession. So it doesn't look out of place or anything. He just playing that sort of Scott Brown role, but I think it could give Neil Lennon a sort of selection headache, maybe playing Turnbull over Ryan Christie or playing Soro over. You might see Scott Brown get dropped a few times or even Callum McGregor. But competition, like it's healthy competition. So, and if it's going to get us results, then I'm all for it.
Yeah. Personally, I don't watch a lot of Celtic, but I would agree with you on the whole Scott Brown thing. I feel like he should be getting dropped Celtic for the good of the team. Really, I feel like that he's getting a bit on now, and for this kind of season and with this kind of intensity, it's going to catch up with him, especially with the whole COVID thing. It's going to be with players.
I just feel like he's obviously played for us all this time. So, and like he's played like full seasons where he's like barely missed any games. So that's going to take a toll on him sooner or later. I don't know if he should be dropped, but fair enough. Give other players chances like Soro and Turnbull, and if that's offers something different, then like why would you change it, sort of thing?
Yep, absolutely. Look, do you see this as a turning point for Celtic, or do you feel like they just need to keep the consistency going?
Well, we'll obviously talk about the Rangers result tonight. Like I think, in the grand scheme of things, they should hopefully take some positives from the win the other day, and obviously Rangers losing tonight, albeit just in the League Cup, but showing that they're not guaranteed to win all their games in the league. I only seen the highlights of the Celtic game. Like it seemed like dominant, had a good foothold in the game, but all I will say is I think it was a deflected goal for the first one, and kind of seemed like they were missing a few chances in the lead up to scoring, and then obviously when they went 1-0 up, they would have been more relaxed, and they got the second goal from the set piece. But I think I hope you just don't know, do you? I think they've had their problems this season, and it could be that this is a sort of one-off and they go back to struggling again. But they don't need to worry about the Europa League now. They can recover every week after playing in the league. So I think if you take those factors into account, there is realistic reason to be hopeful as a Celtic fan.
Definitely. I guess that's one excuse for Celtic playing terrible in the Europa League. Don't have to worry about it anymore. But we'll get on to the other side of Glasgow now. We'll get into Rangers. We'll start off with the game at the weekend against Dundee United. Obviously, they got the win in the end, but for the first time in a while, there was cause for concern for Rangers. I've talked a lot about how the way Barisic and Tavernier are very similar to the Liverpool fullbacks with the way they press on. They got a great cross, a great shot on them. but they were exposed in that game, and they were shown to be too high up for the goal. And other teams in Scotland have got to see now the best way to beat Rangers, from what has been shown, is on the counter attack. You have to get at them while they're trying to get at you, pretty much, and while they've got all their men up. That's the best way to beat Rangers. And obviously, I don't know if Rangers got complacent, but they lost today at St Mirren. Quite a shocking result. Paddy, I heard you watch the game. How did Rangers get on?
Today, it seemed as though like they couldn't really break down St Mirren, and St Mirren got their goals off of sort of sloppy defending from Rangers, and it was much the same in the game against Dundee United, where like a factor this season for Rangers has been like they don't really deal with crosses well and set pieces, sort similar to Celtic. Like they really need their centre backs, and you need Alan McGregor to be more commanding when these balls are getting played into the box. I thought, touching on the Dundee United game, Tavernier's free kick was fantastic. I'll give him that, and so that is probably one of the goals of the season. Did you see that?
Definitely. He took a little inspiration from another young English right back. There's probably a bit controversial at the moment, but would you say Tavernier may be worthy of an England call-up?
I don't know. I wouldn't say so myself. I think for him to be worthy of an England call-up, he'd need to move up a sort of level, maybe playing the Premier League with a sort of mid-table team. I think he could play for, but I'm sure there'll be a lot of eyes on him. I think England, obviously, they've just got too big a squad, too much depth in that squad, and it would be hard enough to pick their squad going for the Euros and World Cup qualifiers and whatnot as it is. So, but he's a great player, and I don't think he'll be at Rangers for his whole career, and I could see him going places. So, it'd be good to see him get there anyway.
It's frightening with Tavernier, really. Was that 16 goals now this season?
He's a top goal scorer, yeah. So
into December, and he's got 16 goals. Obviously, a lot of them are penalties and free kicks, but for a right back, that's still bloody unbelievable, isn't that, Luke?
mm-hmm.
Yeah, it shows like how trusted he is in that team, that he's on like all the set pieces and stuff. I think he is a very good player, and I'd be interested to see how he would fare like, if he went to another league. But I mean, if there's going to be talk of like England call-ups, I think he'd definitely need to do that. And it's not to disrespect like Scottish football, but you look at the options England have a right back, Wan-Bissaka, Alexander-Arnold, Trippier. So they've got a lot of players at right back. So I don't think at this stage like there would be much hope for him to be starting for them. But I think, how old is he now? Is he about 28? Like he's at his career, isn't he?
20s, I'm sure.
So if he's going to move, he's going to have to do it like fairly soon. But I mean, I think I've spoke about this already. I think if Rangers win the league this year, I think there will be a few players who want to leave, because as soon as they've won the league, the only other thing they can do maybe win a treble or something. But other than that, they're not gonna be hoping to like equal Celtic's 9 in a row or do 10 in a row or anything like that. So I think some of the big players for Rangers will potentially look to move on, and he could be one of them. Yeah.
Personally, at the end of this season, whether it be Celtic or Rangers to win the league, there's going to be a mass clear out at both clubs, because it's a big season for both teams, especially for Celtic, obviously the whole 10 in a row. But Celtic and Rangers, the current state that the football world is in, not just due to COVID, but due to just the Scottish League not really being looked upon. A lot of these teams are selling clubs now. Celtic and Rangers always look to sell their big players for big money after they buy them for so little. I mean, how much did Celtic buy Edward for? Like a few million quid, and now they're probably will sell him in the summer, whether they win 10 in a row or not. Personally, I think he probably will leave in the summer, and you'll probably get a good chunk of money, maybe like 20 million for him or something. And that's only because of the size of Celtic. Because if you're starting striker for Celtic, you're going to get a lot of money. And Rangers will look to cash in as well. It wouldn't surprise me if Ryan Kent said, "All right, mate, I want to go back to England now. I've proven myself in a good.
Yeah.
I want to go back to England." And both teams need to take advantage of the players that they've got, because personally, a lot of their great players aren't going to be around forever, because at the end of the day, I'm going to sound like a biased Premier League fan here, but most of these foreign players who play in the SPL want to move to bigger leagues such as the Premier League, La Liga, and the Bundesliga.
Yeah.
And it's shown before that they're willing to throw their toys at the pram to get the move. You've seen the likes of Dedrick Boyata, Moussa Dembele. So both teams just need to just hope that they can make the most of it really this season. But enough about Celtic and Rangers. We're going to move back on to the Premier League and the another end of the table. We're going to be having a little discussion about Arsenal. So obviously Arsenal just drew 1-1 with Southampton there. Not the worst result in the world, but with the current form that Arsenal are in, they were in desperate need of a win. Paddy, I know you're quite fond of Arsenal.
Yeah.
What have you thought of them recently?
Aye, so it's not too good being like a Celtic fan now, and also Arsenal obviously going through some tough times, like we used to being big clubs and always being challenging for the title, or even with Arsenal just being up there, being in the sort of Champions League qualifying places. But it looks as though they are going through a tough time now. I don't know if we might see a change of manager. Or it's like Arteta. It seems like a lot of Arsenal fans like him, whereas everyone else wants to get rid of him. They've got lots of great players. It's a squad with a mixture of both sort of very experienced, and then they're also trying to bring through a lot of young players. And I don't know if they know where their balance is. But to see them in the relegation, I don't know if you could say battle. They're there just now, but you think they'll obviously push on and get wins, because they've got the beating of these teams who are down there. Like, who is it? Sheffield United are bottom with 1 point. So Arsenal have got the beating of these teams. I don't think they're as good as what they used to be, where they could finish in the top 4 every season. And they've got players like Lacazette, Aubameyang, but it's they're not really what they used to be. So
the fact that we have to discuss Arsenal is like, they should stay up. Not that they will stay up. We're discussing right now. Oh, yeah, they should stay up. Look, Paddy touched on the manager just there. Do you think it's time to go for Arteta, or do you feel like he needs more time?
I don't know if I'd say it's time to go. Like, the whole situation with Arsenal kind of reminds me of Man United last year. There was talk of like Man U had a really poor start, and there was people saying that they were in the relegation battle, and sometimes people say it like as banter, and then you actually look at the table and it's like, well, hold on a second, technically they're in the relegation battle. No, I wouldn't say necessarily it's time to go, but all I will say is that, you know, a few months ago when he came in and they won the FA Cup and things like that, people were saying he's sort of not necessarily the next Guardiola, but people were sort of pointing at the fact that he'd been at City, assistant manager at Guardiola, and that he seemed like a really promising young manager. But I just remember when Emery came in to Arsenal before, I remember hearing a lot of similar things, and then obviously it didn't work out for him, and 90% of fans in the end seemed to hate his guts. So I'm not saying it's going to get like that for Arteta, but I don't know. I'm not convinced by him, to be honest. Like, I think the results they got last year, they got them by playing a certain way as well. It's not like they were going, when they beat Man City in the FA Cup, it's not like they were playing amazing football. You know, they were playing on the counter attack with pacey players, and doesn't seem like these players, the likes of Aubameyang, Lacazette, are doing it this year. And like, you sort of have to ask why. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. The best way I would describe it is when they were winning the FA Cup last season. Like you said, they weren't playing exciting football. It was 11 system players on the pitch. Those 11 players on the pitch they just fit the job the best. I don't think any of those obviously some of them are fantastic players. You've got the likes of Aubameyang, and you've got the youngsters like Saka and that. But it is worrying times for Arsenal. Personally, with Arteta, everyone knew that it was going to be a risk when he came in. But it was clear to see that this was going to be a long project. But obviously, the Arsenal board still want to see. Obviously not Arsenal. They're 15th, 16th now. And you don't want to see Arsenal in that kind of position, because they're a historical club. And a club like Arsenal, obviously with the position they're in, you probably want to see them around the top 6 or 7, and to see them in this kind of position, I find laughable at times. And I wouldn't put the blame towards the manager. I put the blame towards the players, because a lot of those players are experienced players, and some of them, like I said already, like the likes of Aubameyang and Lacazette, these are experienced players, and some of them are experienced internationals. And when you got the likes of Granit Xhaka, like grabbing players by the throat, when your team is going head to head with a Burnley side that's gonna get gritty, they're gonna get dirty. You're just asking for trouble. It's all over the place at Arsenal, and in my personal opinion, Arteta's not fully to blame here. The players are not helping his case, and I think it's going to be another one of those players drive it manager. They may love him as a person, but they're going to be like, oh, we're not playing great. Oh no, let's blame the manager, not us. And Aubameyang is captain as well. Obviously, he's probably just in a poor run right now, but we know what Aubameyang can do. He's a fantastic striker, and on his day, he's probably one of the best, if not the best striker in the Premier League. So it is worrying times for Arsenal, but I feel like I don't see them getting anywhere near top 4. We can roll them out of that kind of persuasion, but even Europa League as well, I think now for Arsenal, it's just about confidence. They need to just get a win.
Mm-hmm.
And they need their senior players to step up, because right now, the likes of the youngsters such as, for your sake, Paddy, the likes of Tierney, the likes of Saka, seem to be some of the only shining lights that they've got right now. And it's going to be a while before I think they're going to be challenging for top 4 again, because this is a project at Arsenal. You mentioned Man U. Look, what was your thoughts on the derby at the weekend?
No, not good. Like, it's not the result. I'll take a draw against City any day of the week. It means you don't need to have terrible embarrassment, but just kind of the attitude of the players and the hugging you see afterwards. It's just not what you want to see in a Manchester derby, not one bit. So, I mean, yeah, it's in the grand scheme of things right now. After getting knocked out of the Champions League, everything seems like it's crumbling down. You'll take a draw against City. It's not shocking. I think they're not. I think they've still got 2 games in hand, so they're not in a shocking position in the league. I think they go joint second or third if they win all their games in hand. That's a big if. But yeah, I think in the grand scheme of things, it's not looking good right now. But I'll take a draw against City. I just don't like the way they're acting after the game.
Imagine if you saw someone like, I don't know, like you saw Edward like hugging Tavernier at the end of an Old Firm.
You wouldn't see it. You
just wouldn't see it. Like, this goes, it's because it's in Scotland, but I would freely admit that the Old Firm is one of the greatest derbies in world football. And if you saw a Celtic and a Rangers player hug at the end of a game or in the tunnel, you'd be like, oh yeah,
exactly.
You get away with it in Scotland. And that, as a Liverpool fan, that annoyed me as well. If I saw a Liverpool player giving a Man United, if I saw someone like Salah giving Harry Maguire a hug, I'd be like, get off him, mate. This is a massive game, and it really did annoy me.
Yeah.
We'll just talk quickly on Bilic getting the sack at West Brom. Bit of a shock as well, Paddy.
Yeah, coming off, like he's got the sacking off of that. To be fair, he had a bad run of games, but the game that he got like sacked after was a 1 each away to Man City. Like, surely that's shown like he's put up a fight against them and things. So it's quite a shocking. He's obviously the first manager to go this season. We might see another in Arteta, but I think even as a Celtic point of view, if we see Neil Lennon go, I would take in. I know I'm like turning everything on Celtic here, but I would take Slaven Bilic. Somebody's got a lot of experience. I think he managed Croatia, didn't he, before? At major tournaments, and he's that sort of level, like Premier League level manager. So quite a shock to see him get sacked.
I never thought of that. That would be a good appointment at Celtic, I think.
Yeah.
Neil Lennon at this point will probably never get sacked. We'll move on. We saw the Champions League draw on Monday. There's some really good games in there. I didn't see who Man U got though. Look, who did they get?
In the Europa League. Oh, he's a funny guy.
Oh, but we'll get into some of the ties. Obviously, I feel like the highlight fixture is the Barcelona PSG game. We had Messi versus Ronaldo in the group stage, and looks like we'll now have Messi versus Neymar in round the 16. What a tie that looks to be.
Yeah, so Messi versus his old pal Neymar. I think when we saw Barcelona versus Juventus, obviously it looked quite poor. So I don't know how they'll deal against PSG, because PSG don't look like they're having their best season. They still look dangerous, but even in they're second in the league, and they've not looked too convincing in the Champions League. So I think that could be a really quite a competitive fixture, that one.
Yep. What do you think? Look.
Yeah, like I think for both teams, and the fact that PSG have just knocked Man United out, like I can't look at them and with a smile on my face. I think they're obviously a big team, very good, but I think they've both been disappointing. Like Barcelona, it's been the case for quite a while now. We know that they're not the team they used to be, but yeah, it's similar with PSG this year. They've kind of been. I mean, they obviously lost against United in the first game of the group stage. I can't remember how they fared in the rest of their games, but I don't think they've been unbelievable. So it will definitely be a tight game. But I don't think either side are really one of like the top three teams in the Champions League or anything like that. I don't. I feel like there's better teams in the Champions League, and when we get later into the knockout rounds, I feel like they'll both struggle.
Definitely. We're at. I was discussing this with a few people as well, and we're at a stage in footballing world now where we say if Barcelona went through, it would class as a bit of a shock. Because although PSG aren't the greatest right now, they've still got what, 2, 3, 4 world class players. Barcelona have got one, but when you're talking about that one player, it is Lionel Messi, and he can single handedly carry any team. Obviously, we know about Lionel Messi. If you want to learn more about Lionel Messi on this channel, just go and check our last football podcast. We were all in awe, but apart from Paddy, he was a Ronaldo stan. Obviously, for my team Liverpool's sake, we didn't get the best draw in the world, but for my sake and my mental state, I'm just glad we didn't get Atletico again. Obviously, Atletico got Chelsea. So that's some good ties in there, and personally, I feel like Liverpool, if they keep playing the way they are, should see Leipzig as a step hopefully to number 7. But we'll see. That's a topic for another time. We'll talk on the Europa League as well. Rangers getting this easy draw, Paddy.
I wouldn't say that. Antwerp, did they not beat Spurs?
Mm-hmm.
So they put up a good performance there. So I don't think that's a very easy. Although we've seen like Rangers obviously steamroll in this Europa League campaign and last season's as well. They've seemed to prove really well in Europe. I think this could be a tough tie. I think we will see them go through, but so.
Yeah. I know you don't want to talk on it, Luke, but what are your thoughts on Man United's draw?
Against Sociedad, it'll be interesting. Adnan Januzaj playing for them these days. Yeah, a bit of a fan favourite back in the day. He was meant to be the next big thing, so it'll be nice to see how he does against us. It seems like any time we play against a team with a former player, they always bring their A game. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Adnan Januzaj causing our defence all sorts of problems. But yeah, I think on paper it's a tie. United should win, but you just don't know, do you? With the way we're playing this year,
you never know with United, and it could scare them a little bit right now. That I think they're top of the La Liga right now, and
oh, that's right, with David Silva going back.
David Silva as well, yeah, and we don't know what form they're going to be in mid-February, but right now it could be an interesting one. But I think for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's sake, he needs to. With a team like Man United, you need to be winning trophies.
Yeah,
and Europa League is his best bet, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Got to the semi-final last season where he probably should have got to the final.
Yeah,
and it's going to be an interesting one for Solskjaer. It is a tricky tie, but I think Arsenal will have it tougher though. They got Benfica in the next round, and we know with Arsenal's current form that they'll probably be seen second favourites for that tie. And again, for Arsenal's sake, they need to think about these competitions as their best route back into the Champions League, because they're not going to get top 4 So they need to think, okay, we've got knockout ties now. Let's just focus on this. Play our best team games and rest for the league. That's what I think they should be aiming towards, because Arsenal, a club like Arsenal, the same like Man U, Liverpool, and all them, they're a big club and they need to be playing in top competitions, and they're not going to get anywhere near it in the league. But yeah, another tough one for Arsenal. You going to say something there, Paddy?
I was just going to say, are all these games just like last season at the end of the Champions League? It was all sort of a one leg. Are all these games one leg? Did they say?
No, that these will just be normal set
two legs
again. Obviously, Europa League have their round of 32, so they'll play them in the first 2 weeks. Then they'll have a week's rest, and then they'll have the round of 16 ties. But yeah, interesting opponents. Tottenham got Wolfsberger, or however you say their name, and I wasn't aware of who Leicester got, but I'm pretty sure they got a favourable tie as well. Yeah, for the English teams, some good and some bad, but for Scotland, it could be an interesting one. But personally, I think the Rangers will make a mockery of Antwerp, and yeah,
I suppose it could be good for the coefficient for Scotland, couldn't it? If we see Rangers advance, so
as much as you'd hate to admit it, Paddy, you would want to see Rangers do well.
Exactly. Aye.
Sake of Celtic, yeah. So yeah, interesting ties all round in both European competitions. So we'll get into our games of the week now. Probably what you've all been looking forward to. And we'll start off with probably Link's game of the weekend. Paddy, what's your game of the weekend?
Yeah, so it's a Scottish Cup final, obviously, if getting played. It's last season's Cup final. It's Celtic v Hearts, so Hearts now in the Championship. And Celtic the chance to make history and get a quadruple treble. I think it could be. Obviously, we're coming off of these 2 wins, the win in the Europa League and in the league as well. So I think with another win and a trophy, it could just hopefully it can spur us on for more wins. Hearts aren't the worst team. Hearts seem to be cruising the Championship, and I think we'll see them back up quite soon. So I think it'll be a good game, and obviously, as you've saw, anything can really happen in our games. But I do expect us to win. So my prediction would probably be, I think, an easy 3-0 win. I'll take that.
Ooh, an easy 3-0 win, you're saying?
Yeah.
So be on the lookout this weekend as well. We've got a very special podcast coming up. We've got a special guest coming. Can't quite tell you who it is. Got some element of surprise. But look, what's your game of the weekend?
It's Everton against Arsenal this weekend. So Everton have had a couple good results. They beat Leicester 2-0 tonight. They beat Chelsea 1-0 in their last game. So Everton picking up some form, and obviously they had a brilliant start to the season. So you'd fancy Everton there, and Arsenal drawn tonight against Southampton. Shocking this season, as we've already spoke about. So I think it'll be a close game. I think it's easy to go with Everton, and that I was going to say a 2-1 win for Everton, but I'm actually going to change my mind. You know, all this talk about Arteta potentially facing the sack, I think you'll get the players motivated for the weekend's game. I think Arsenal will win 2-1.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. Well, I think we all want to. Well, for my sake, I want to see Arsenal keep getting beat for a bit of Arsenal fan TV. But I'll get into my game of the weekend now. I've gone with the Borussia Dortmund versus Union Berlin game. By the time this release, you might actually be watching the game because it's Friday night. And obviously, recently, Dortmund have sacked their manager. It'll be an interesting one as well. To see how they cope without them, and obviously I think they've appointed one of their coaches till the end of the season, and then they'll bring in the Mönchengladbach manager. But obviously you can't rule out the kind of players that Dortmund have got with Haaland and Sancho. But mainly I want to talk about this game because Union Berlin are currently 6th in the Bundesliga, and a win for them could put them a point within the top 4. Obviously teams will have a game in hand on them, but they can go within a few points. I think 1 point of Dortmund as well if they win this game. So it's a big chance for Union Berlin. Obviously, they're one of the hipsters lovers, because everyone seems to love how their meteoric rise has been to get to the top division. And me personally, I'm a massive Union Berlin lover as well, because I don't support them. I'm not a glory hunter before any you say, but I've always had appreciation for them, and it's a funny story, but we'll save that for another time. But personally, with the players that Borussia Dortmund have got, I think they'll be in the kickstart period with their new manager, and I feel like they'll not walk over, but they'll make it look easy in a 3-1 I'd say. But yeah, that'll round us off for today. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, and give us some feedback in comments below. Tell us what you think of the podcast without Blair. Kidding on. Love you really, Blair. Hopefully, again, you guys enjoyed this video, and be on the lookout as well this weekend for another potential podcast. And yeah, be sure to subscribe as well, so we can get that 250 mark and be involved in the football top giveaway. But yeah, until next time, goodbye from me.
Yeah.